Hello everyone and welcome to the Smell the Roses YouTube channel. I'm Flo Foster and I'm a senior volunteer for Smell the Roses. I play the part of Wellbeing Coordinator for Whitley Bay at the moment, and I am a trained sports massage therapist and trained professional contemporary dancer, and I use all of those skills to help you in as many ways as I can with your well-being and mental health and physical health. So to give you some background, this YouTube channel is the product of, as I'm sure we're all aware, COVID-19 and the response that the charity has had to trying to bring what we would normally be doing during our retreat days online. So when COVID happened, I was doing a Facebook Live once a week for the private group that was available from the Smell the Roses Facebook page. And I was basically doing some of the things that I'm going to be teaching you in this series, which is basically general disciplines, practices, tips, and tricks for your well-being. And that included looking at mental health in relation to gardening and cooking, and how we can kind of be a little bit more, grateful for what we have around us. It included some breathing techniques and all sorts of other things. And talking which we will be doing some breathing techniques today. And the reason I want to start with this is because it's part of my practice. It's a fundamental part of what I teach my clients, and I wanted to bring that to you. So I hope that there are people watching from the Facebook Live group that have now moved over onto YouTube, so hello to you, but also hello to anyone who's new, who has never really interacted with Smell the Roses. We're a brilliant charity, if I say so myself. And yeah, we mainly help parents, and especially at the moment, mums and carers of children with disabilities. And we hope to, in the future, be able to go back to doing our retreat days. But for now, we're doing our online sessions. So to kick off the online sessions, I am going to do some breathing techniques. So breathing, fairly obvious. Everyone does it, don't need to learn how. Just happens naturally. It's an involuntary action, so we just get on with our lives and it happens, which is amazing, and that's really cool. Unless you're asthmatic or have other breathing problems, then you're probably a lot more aware of this than the average person. But breathing is generally not done as fully as it could be, I suppose is the best way of putting it. As a dancer and as a therapist, I work a lot with the breath, and actually the majority of the time we're breathing from one very small little pocket, which little heart, is often up here. So we breathe kind of like a small ventilator. We're kind of just talking and getting on with our lives and kind of going, and they're very shallow breaths, and it's not great to live our lives just breathing like that. It's really good to kind of get the breath moving into its kind of fullest capacity in our body. And funnily enough, we have this thing called the rib cage, and we have these things called intercostal muscles, and the rib cage is actually a lot larger than people think. So if you just have a little feel, fingers and thumbs like little L's, and put them around your waist or your hip. Don't worry if you can't feel anything. Please do not take this opportunity to hate yourself. Everybody's body is different, and genetics dictate how much body fat you have and how much you can feel, how long your rib cage is, all of that kind of stuff. So please do not take this opportunity, as I say this, to hate yourself. Especially because lots of people are finding that over COVID things have slightly changed in their body, which is understandable. So without doing that, put your fingers around your waist and feel for your rib cage. You might find it easy to kind of start, especially for ladies, to start further up nearer the bra strap and work your way down, and just give it a bit of a poke. You're not going to hurt yourself unless you've got any massive surgery that's happened recently, so do avoid that, or a massive tattoo, I don't know. But yeah, just have a little feel, and if you feel as far down as you can, for most people it's a lot lower than they think. So my last rib, can't really feel it because it's inside all my lady curves, is there. So the top of my ribs is here, and of my body that's about 1/3, which is a pretty massive area considering that most people are breathing kind of here. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is try and open up that space, kind of get the breath slightly deeper. So putting our hands back, Superwoman, Superman, getting that body opened up, opening the shoulders. Again, this position has some psychological backing, apparently. I wouldn't stand by anything in particular because that's not my field of expertise. With confidence, having your hands on your hips and opening your chest is a big part of encouraging, not making, but encouraging the mentality of confidence and I can do it. Which, to be fair, you know, put your hands on your waist, there is definitely an element of that. I mean, maybe there's sometimes more of a kind of a stress thing, you're kind of leaning back because you're in pain. But yeah, apparently, psychologically, it's good for you. Don't know why. I'll come back to that at another time. So back to the exercise. So finding one of your lower ribs, don't worry if it's not the bottom one, because there are, you know, internal organs that might be getting in the way of that, and that's okay. So feel for the one that you can feel the best, as long as it's not too high up. And now what I want you to do is take a deep breath in, but breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So it's kind of going up and then out. And we don't want it to kind of go we want it to be nice and slow and controlled, because this is all about being intentional about our well-being, which is probably why you're still watching me. So if you are still watching. So hands on the waist, finding the rib, taking a nice deep breath in. I actually just breathed out through my nose there. I'm going to do that again. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Now you'll probably find that your shoulders may have gone like that, which is really, really normal. You might have felt absolutely nothing down here. That's also totally fine. But what we're going to try and do is intentionally open this area up. So doing that will almost feel a bit like you're kind of opening and closing your ribs. So if you watch me there, I'm literally just kind of opening and closing my ribs, which is literally just like, if you imagine kind of gorilla style, kind of opening and closing. But that's basically what they're there for. They're there to create space for you to breathe. So imagine that you've got like a balloon that starts kind of around the collarbone and goes around into this empty space where your arms don't touch your body, in that space there. Some people it might touch, to be fair, but mine definitely don't. Into space here, and then down and round and into the stomach. So I'm watching a mirror, by the way, because this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I've got a mirror that's helping me check where everything is. So yeah, so we can breathe right down here. Now this area is really hard to breathe into, so do not worry if you can't breathe into here. It's mainly an area where if you do musical theatre, classical singing, by classical singing I mean opera, musical theatre is classical singing, so to anyone who does musical theatre, that is not a dig. Yeah, so musical theatre, kind of opera, even playing instruments as well, they'll use this part of their body to breathe, but it's actually not a particularly common area to breathe into outside of that, but it is really useful to stretch out the lower back, and also breathing into the lower back, which again stretches the lower back. So those are areas we'll come to in a little bit, but to start with, we're just going to focus on the one, because it is a lot harder to think, and maybe it isn't for you, and that's a really good thing, in which case you might find the next one's harder. But for now, I want you to focus on, oh, I'm shedding some more hairs. I washed my hair today after a run and it still hasn't dried, but it's fine. It's because it's cold. So hands on as far down as you can find. And as you're holding there, I want you to take a nice deep breath in, and I want you to imagine this balloon I mentioned before. I want you to imagine it expanding and opening up. So taking a nice deep breath in. And out. Did anything move? Maybe not. Try it again, and this time try and push out a bit more. It'll feel like you're doing something, but maybe not something that makes sense when you're breathing. But this is intentional breathing. This is a technique that helps you to kind of find a deeper breath, get more oxygen to your brain. More oxygen to your brain wakes you up, gives you more energy, gets more energy and oxygen into the muscles, ATP, all of that sciencey stuff that I'm not going to go into just now. So deep breath is just good for you, basically. And when you don't have time to go for a massage with me, or you don't have time to meet up with a friend, or you can't meet up with a friend because of what's going on, you want somewhere where you can kind of decompress. And actually that's really, really hard at the moment. So breathing techniques is just a really great place to start when you're sat, you know, on the sofa about to watch your favorite TV series. You're sat on the bog, maybe the only minute that you get on your own if you've got kids. Sometimes finding a space to stop and do absolutely nothing is really hard. So actually finding time when you're kind of doing other things in a slightly more stationary way is a really good time to just try and kind of recenter yourself, and this is a great way of doing that. There are loads of techniques that I will kind of show you over the coming months and weeks, but for now I just want to focus on feeling where your breath is, and if it's not there then that's fine, then we can begin to try and work on that. So thumbs and fingers, fingers at the front, thumbs at the back, and we're going to breathe in and out, and in and out. It's so quiet. Can you hear that? It's like no sound apart from the birds. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? I love my garden. Gosh, that is so quiet, isn't it? Well, there we go. That's my garden for you. I just thought there was like some silence. I don't know whether it's because a plane went over and then it stopped, but there we go. Finding a quiet place to do this is obviously great, but I'm very lucky that I live in quite a quiet place. So here is where I do things. So we've had the rib cage, and now we're going to do the stomach, because that's at the front. I'm trying to remember which way around I was going to do this. I'll do the front first. So we've done the rib cage, we're going to do the stomach. Now this is sometimes easier when you're sat down, but for now, just for the sake of argument, have your thumb where your belly button is. If it helps, stick your finger in. Some people definitely don't want to do that. That's fine also. Just find your belly button and then kind of feel for the area just below that. Fun fact, women, that bit just there that's below your belly button is where your womb is. And so if that area protrudes slightly from your belly button, doesn't mean you're fat. Fun fact, I saw that on a Facebook post a couple of weeks ago and I was like, no way! That makes sense. So if your pelvis is, sorry, not your pelvis, your uterus is slightly more tipped forward. Again, I cannot hold to that. That might not be true, but that's what I saw. And I do follow quite a few actual science posts on Facebook, not just the rubbish that you get from goodness knows who's making up stuff for the sake of having a post. So let's hope that's true. But the point is, it's okay if you've got a little bit of squish down here. Do not hate yourself. Might be the first time you've touched that area in a while, and that's okay too. So yeah, so thumb in the belly button and fingers below. This one, as I say, is a lot harder than you think, and you've kind of got to like let go as if you're kind of like pushing your belly out, like, you know, when you can like push it out and look pregnant, like you're kind of wanting to imagine that you're doing that. I don't know if you can see that. So that area there, those muscles, like they are part of the breathing process as well, not as much as these ones because they are literally there to kind of be around your lungs and the whole kind of ballooning area. And then you've got your diaphragm, which is kind of like the stringy pull thing that kind of, well, it's not actually stringy inside, but it kind of tugs at the lungs to open them up. So all of those muscles there, this is a key area for opening up your rib cage. So lower tummy, go back to there. So this is kind of obviously right at the bottom of that kind of stretch, right at the bottom. So what we're going to do is, as we breathe in, we're going to try and imagine that we're sending our breath to fill that area, like a little air pocket, because it's not somewhere that we normally breathe into. You might not feel anything. Some people feel really sick and a little bit lightheaded when they do this because it's such a deep breath. They're kind of like, oh, that felt weird. So if it feels weird, just stop, no worries. You can come back and join me in just a second when I do the back one. But for now, taking a nice deep breath in, and I want you to try and fill your lower stomach. You might actually feel it stretching your lower back and not feel it in your stomach. That's fine, because when I just did it then I was like, oh gosh, my lower back's really tight. So breathing in through your nose and out. It will be a very small breath. You won't have the same capacity to kind of go in the same way you can here, but the idea is it is the last little nth degree of breath that you can get. It's right at the bottom there. You can fill that up, and it's brilliant if you've got lower back pain. It's one of those ones which actually, if you can't get to see an osteopath or a physio, being able to breathe into there feels so good. And like even now I'm like, oh wow, that feels good. It's opened up a little bit. So yeah, so that's nice. So yeah, so we'll do that one more time, but this one is hard. We will come back to this at another point. But by the way, I'm by an airfield, so if you hear loads of airplanes, I'm sorry, I can't tell them to stop when I'm filming, so just have to be quiet. But there we go. Anyway, so thumb where the belly button is, lower belly, and breathing in and out. I actually felt it up here. Something up here just stretched. That was weird. But yeah, so you might feel it stretch in weird places. It's one of those things, as I say, don't worry if you can't do it. We will come back to it later. So for those of you who struggle with that one, we're going to move on to feeling the kind of upper and lower back. So in this position, you might struggle if you've got really, really tight fronts of your shoulders and your delts and your lats and all that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, I am so melting. My hair is like, oh, this is what happens when I have a shower. Don't know whether anyone else with long hair has this issue, but oh my goodness, I just put my hand here and like came away with stuff in my hands. Anyway, it's fine. So because my hair is quite long, where I'm wanting to reach is like under my hair. It's just COVID for you. I haven't cut my hair, so hand under here, and then you can either put your second hand in the lower back or put them together. Now if you can't reach like this, it is totally fine just to reach as far as you can. I generally find if you have a really tight shoulder, it's actually easier to do this than it is to kind of like reach right up to the top, because doing it across, most people, you know, of my clients who have really tight shoulders, there is a very limited number of people whose shoulders are so tight that they can't put their hands behind their back. So if you can't reach any further up, that is totally fine. Just reach your lower back like this. But do put a little bit of pressure on it. You want to kind of like feel your back, not just kind of touch it. You want to like be aware of it, kind of sense what's going on. You know, where are the bony prominences? Right, that's my lower back. I can feel that. That's kind of the top of my coccyx and my sacrum there, and you know, that's the fatty bit, or you know, the top of my kind of hips, and then here is a really squishy bit where I get loads of back pain or whatever. Just have a good feel and make sure your hands are kind of pressing in and you know where it is. So lower back, or if you like, you can do it on the upper back as well, which I'm going to do if I can get past all my hair. Here we go. Right. So as you're taking your breath in, I want you to fill up this bit in between my hair, top of the shoulder blades, open those out, and then send it. I'm going to move my hair. You want to send it from up here. You want to go and open that bit there, and then you want to send that down into your lower back. So you're starting with that, and then down there. Hopefully you can see that. I couldn't see on the mirror because I was having to try and show you. So breathing in and trying to breathe into your hands. So you're imagining it's kind of opening up in between your scapulas, in between your shoulder blades, and then it's kind of continuing to stretch all the way down your spine. And the last little bit, same as the front, you want to open that tiny pocket right by your lower back. And that again, it might feel like quite a strong stretch, so don't worry if it feels quite strong. It's probably because that area isn't getting as much love as maybe as it could, so that's absolutely fine. So do that again, taking a deep breath in, even more, and out. A lot of people as well, fun fact or top tip, not sure which one I'm going top fact, fun tip, I'm going to call it that, fun tip. I like that, fun tip. I've forgotten what it was now. That was a really funny thing to say. I now have a thing which is fun tip, but I don't know what the fun tip was. Oh yeah. That when you're breathing in, a lot of people, if you ask them to breathe in, they'll go, and they kind of like go like that, but actually it's kind of like, if this is your lung, it's kind of going, and then that's kind of as far as you're getting. I'm going to come closer and show you. When you breathe in, that's kind of as far as you kind of feel like you are, and then that's kind of it. Whereas actually, if you breathe in completely and then go, there's loads more there for you to engage with. I'm just trying to check that I'm actually in the center. Am I in the center? Yeah, I think I am. I can just about see in the mirror, but not very well. But there we go. So we're going to do it one more time with the lower back, but just remember that thing of breathing in can sometimes get stilted. You want to kind of keep going. So you want to go and out, like that. So try it again. if you've done it in the top of your back like this and you are flexible enough to do that thing where, you know, we do that, not everyone can, and that's totally fine, but it is a really good stretch. If you've done the top of your back, now do your lower back. So pushing your hands in. You can also do this against a wall so that you can kind of feel it, but it just depends on your kind of back flexibility and where your body sits, because some people are quite lordotic, or sticking your bum out, as it's commonly known. So you might find that that's actually too much of a challenge, and that's fine, because some people are well endowed in the buttock department, so it's not possible. But if you're trying to feel it a bit more and you're struggling, then you can lean against a wall if it helps, but have a little go. Hopefully people don't think you're mental just like standing against a wall, but there we go. I'm going to leave that to you to decide what you want to do. So low back, taking a nice deep breath in and out. So as I did that, I was breathing into the upper back, which is the bit where it's most easy, and I had to kind of push and almost send the breath down into my lower back. So as I'm breathing in, it's here, and then that last little bit, that bit right at the end, that's what's getting in there. Oh, that is a good sign, by the way. I realise it probably looks pretty bad, but yawning after you've taken a really deep breath in is great. It's good fun, gets more air in. It's fabulous, lots of oxygen, it's lovely, feels great. If you're not already sleepy, because if you yawn when you're already sleepy, then yeah, it's not so fun. But hey, I do not need to worry about that. I am a keen bean fighting machine today because I had plenty of sleep, so we're all good today. And also I had a run, which made a big difference, and yesterday I went for a cycle, so I think that has something to do with it, but we'll come back to that because that is something I want to talk about later on. So now that I have done this bit, I'm gonna not stand quite so far away from the camera so you can see my face. So is that, I can't tell, I think the sun like sets right behind me in between there, so you can tell what time of day it is by where the sun is. It's currently somewhere between those trees, so yeah, so there we go. Anyway, yeah, so we've done the back, we've done the side of the ribs, and then there is the front of the chest here, which is the most common. But what you want to try and do is kind of open up, you know, for the ladies in the house, it's kind of like if you were wearing a push-up bra, or if you had like a sweetheart neck dress, it's that kind of like shape above your chest, just below your collarbone. That's kind of the bit that you're trying to open, and for both men and women, and everything in between. This bit here is an area which, like the pectoral muscles on any body, is tight. Just because of daily life, using your arms loads, you kind of don't really think about it. You know, you'll probably be able to remember when you sat down and had your cup of coffee, or went to bed, or sat in the armchair, or lay on the floor like a slug. You can probably remember that, because being up on your feet and not on your feet is something we remember. But actually, I mean, how much just in this YouTube video have I been using my arms? So this area gets really, really overworked, and that's like not even including, you know, picking things up and moving your arm kind of beyond its kind of small rotation. So this area here is a really important part to try and stretch. I'm just going to check I'm in the camera. Yeah, I am. Woohoo! Brilliant. So what we're going to do is, if you can, put your hands here. Don't worry if not. Or if you don't feel comfortable to, that's absolutely fine. You can just think about it and just try and feel that part of your body without touching, which you can do, especially if you've got kind of like slightly tighter clothing on. But I'm going to put my hands here. So what you want to do is, as you breathe in, you want to imagine that there are two little flaps just opening up here. And it should open up kind of the front of your pecs, like that. A bit like you're doing some kind of, you know, street kind of I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the move. So put your hands here, take a nice deep breath in and out. Now weirdly, the area that I breathed into was here. See, look, I breathed in deep because I yawned, and I'm not tired, so there's definitely a deep breathing yawn. As you breathe in, here. You might find that you feel it kind of in your sternum, or you might even feel it kind of up here, like right up into your armpit. So you can feel it pretty much anywhere, and it's often to do with where you're tight. But yeah, that's another conversation for another day. But for now, just try and imagine kind of two little flaps opening up and then kind of continuing to open, kind of almost like a 180 like that. So we'll do it one more time, and then we'll do a recap of the one we did before. So breathing in and out. I breathed in through my mouth and out through my mouth there. Let me do it properly. There we go. So to recap, we have Superwoman, Superman, Super It, Super They, hand here, and we're going to breathe in here and out. That's a fast version. That's the sped up version. I'm going to do a proper version now. Breathing in and out, and lower back or upper back. Well, let's start with that one. You can do lower back if you can't reach here. Breathing in and out. You should feel the scapulars or the shoulder blades moving a little bit when you do that. And then the bottom, breathing in and out. So I had to push that down a little bit more because it is an area that I'm tight, and I do have a tendency to lean back as well. So that breath I did take a little bit longer on, and that's really normal. You might have to kind of string out your breath until you kind of feel that push, and then you let go and let everything relax. And the final one that we just did, let's see if I can get a little bit closer. So you want to breathe in. Oh, there we go. Breathing in. And there you go. So those are the areas in which you can breathe, and there are different ways in which you can extend your breath and build on that. So there's some like certain songs and hummings that I use to help me build on my breath, which we'll do at a later date. But for now, for anyone who'd like homework, not everyone will, but if you want some homework, then a great thing to do is just to find a minute to use either your two little L's, to find either your kind of waist and your rib cage, or your kind of pecs, or your lower back, or your upper back around where your shoulder blades are. So take that away with you, see if it helps at all, see if it makes you yawn like it. I don't know if that's a bit like the same thing as when you say something and then someone else does it, like sneezing or yawning. I don't know if like the fact that I was going to say the word yawn there made me yawn, or whether I actually need to yawn, I'm not sure. But anyway, if it does make you yawn, then that's fine. But yeah, just see how it does, see if it makes you feel any calmer. Often I find just one or two breaths when you're sat on the toilet or you're driving in the car, especially for anyone who drives, just great. Not to take your hands off the wheels, mind, but to feel that area. So when you're sat down, you have like the back of the car seat kind of on your back, so it's a lot easier to kind of feel that lower part. But especially when, you know, road rage might be a thing, you might like to shout a few words from the safety of the inside of your car. Take a moment before or after to take a nice deep breath in and just let the air kind of fill you up and energize you. It's not as good as coffee, but I promise you it's pretty flippin' good. So I'm a coffee person if you weren't already aware, so I will mention coffee a fair bit, but tea is also amazing. I have Irish heritage, so tea is a thing, you can't deny it. So there we go. It's a whole conversation about what tea bags you are loyal to, which I'm not going to go into either. Mine is Yorkshire tea, just so you know. Not that anyone's going to be sending me Yorkshire tea anytime soon, but there we go. So I'm just going to check my time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I am on time. Brilliant. Well, that is all I have time for. Ha ha! I timed it well. I'm going to check my timer in my pocket as well. Ha! 30 seconds. Brilliant. Oh! Oh no! I dropped the timer and it's going to go off now. Okay, we're fine. So, that's all we're going to achieve today, is doing some breathing. I hope that it's been beneficial, and welcome to the Smell the Roses channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications about when we're posting more stuff on. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, we also have a Smell the Roses Facebook page where we post regular stuff about these channels, kind of adding more stuff onto them, but also just kind of general stuff on the page if you'd like to see it. I hope that you are all staying safe, and I look forward to bringing to you some more of my little golden nuggets of of my therapeutic career. And I hope to see you all soon. Have an amazing day, have an amazing evening wherever you're watching, and I hope that you can wake up and smell the roses.